Hey, welcome into Thy Kingdom Come. We're a podcast. Should I leave that in?
That's the first redo.
That's the first read. Yeah, no, we're going to leave that in. Hey, welcome into Thy Kingdom Come. We're a podcast where we talk everything Chiefs and NFL, mostly Chiefs, though, because that's what we know, guys. We know Chiefs. I'm Justin. I'm sitting with Deontay and Josiah, and it's pretty much the end of OTAs. Yep. So we kind of know a little bit of what we got. We know the team chemistry. Some things happened in the past week, and we're just going to talk about all of it and expectations coming up. So, yeah. Deontay, what do you got for us, man?
So we had a couple. We know we'll just start off with around the league a little bit. We had a couple contracts that has taken place within this past week, which we can start off with the kicker, the banger, with Justin Jefferson's contract.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson's contract. Now it's funny because early on in our and as we started the podcast and we talked about different things, and remember talking about the words of Justin Jefferson's when he said that I want to break the bank.
Yep.
And
that's why we didn't go after him.
Yeah, and let's say the man broke the bank for sure, because when it comes outside of non-quarterback contracts, Justin Jefferson and the Vikings agreed to a 4-year, $140 million deal. Wow. Can a brother get $10?
How much is guaranteed?
$110 million guaranteed.
And how much is signing?
So it was an
88.26 million at signing or something like that.
And
I think it's 89.
Yeah, or 89
million fully guaranteed. So the money guaranteed and his overall contract, the amount of money per year, it's the largest, the most outside of a non-quarterback position ever.
Right.
In NFL history.
Yep.
So he did what he set out to do, and that was break the bank.
Yep. Well, and he's other than Tyreek Hill has the most yards.
Yeah.
Since Justin Jefferson's been in the league with like 6,028 or something like that, and JJ's got 5,899.
Right.
So I mean, well deserved. Does Tyreek try to re-up?
Right.
But Tyreek is getting old though.
He is getting up there a little bit.
So do they re-up? That's
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I understand business is business, right. And we all, I guess we have grown to understand the fact of when he did leave, and some part of that was like some home stuff, but he wanted to get some money.
Right.
He did want to get money, which my personal opinion is like, man, like let's fight for this legacy. You know what I'm saying? But he did want some money. So with that being the case, I mean, I think dollar signs may be in line sight for him as well. Of hey,
right.
Let's talk some business. Let's talk some business, Miami. And so because again, it's just kind of. It's just how it happens, when Mahomes got his contract and broke that barrier, and then you just begin to see these other teams, begin to watch that, and quarterbacks like, all right, so then you just begin to see all these other huge contracts, with, the one last year with Joe Burrow, and so ever since then, it just these other guys are seeing some of this money play out and wondering, hey, what can I get? Let me test the market. So I think he will retest the market in Miami and say, hey, can we break another barrier? Because I see what JJ just got, and what I have done.
Right. Well, and what does that say about us?
It says this. Everyone that, some of those people who maybe dislike Brett Veach, it says that the man is a mastermind. For the simple fact that he doesn't have all his money rolled up and a couple outside of non-quarterback and
right.
a few couple players to where he can't level out the team.
Right.
And so I think it is a true mastermind because he's saying like, hey, I get that we wanted to keep Tyreek Hill. We can come to agreement, but he understood like, hey, listen, because of what we got and the pieces that we got, or we can bring in some of these pieces around what we got. We don't need to pay all this money, and we can bring in these other guys who has, the team minded and aspect, and let's go do this thing. And we have.
I mean,
twice.
I mean, if you
Twice
every 2 years, if you're able to bring in a top 10 receiver out of the draft, and have the older guys maybe pick up one guy in free agency for around 8 to 10 mil.
Yeah.
Get one veteran, right? And then you're rolling over every couple of years. Like we'll have Rashee Rice for another couple of years.
I mean, just look at Hollywood Brown's contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like to bring in a guy who, really does have some top tier aspect about him as a player.
Right.
And to bring him in under the contract that you did, like, I mean, that says a lot.
It says, So we question, obviously, as fans, anything the front office does.
Oh yeah.
We
got to, right? We got to keep them accountable. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so with us questioning everything they do, it makes it seem like we don't like them.
Sure.
Like that's something that some people, for instance, our reaction to Xavier Worthy.
Right. Yeah.
It made it seem like we don't like what they're doing. It's not that we don't like it. It's we have a different idea, and obviously our ideas don't matter because we're not in the front office making those picks.
We're not the ones
signing people. Although we did kind of lobby for Hollywood Brown a little bit before he got signed.
Yeah, that is true.
So I mean, that's something that we wanted because we knew we could afford him, A, and B, we knew his potential based on his first couple seasons in the NFL.
Yeah.
So we still think he's got that, and I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This year, I think we're spending on receivers like $15 million.
Oh, not much at all.
So I'll take that.
You got to think. We keep, let's say we sign Tyreek Hill, and he gets around the money that he's getting, which I think he's at like $32.5 million or something.
He's like 30, somewhere around 30 million.
So just think, we're paying him that. I'll be honest. We're not keeping Chris Jones this offseason.
No
way.
We're not keeping Creed Humphrey next year.
Yeah.
Not keeping Trey Smith next year.
Right.
Joe Tooney, all those guys.
Yeah,
you can't keep them.
It would be really tough.
Yeah.
And so because of all that money, and because of understanding what we did pay Patrick Mahomes, which well deserving for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just the whole thing about understanding just the concept of that aspect. And I think Brett Veach, has done a tremendous job at just building a team, making it well-rounded, and doing what we need to do and understanding if you build the culture and the players, when you have the culture and when you have the vision and the players are on board with it, you see things that happen. Even though we haven't spent all this money that, hey, in reality, I would have loved to see Tyreek Hill. Like, what?
Right.
We probably wouldn't have seen what we have seen in our receiving core last year if we had demand. You know what I mean? But understanding that there is business side up to it, and I think Brett Veach has done a great job. And I mean, hey, Minnesota, you can pay
they
JJ
can afford it
what you want to pay, and I guess you can afford it. And
you don't have to pay a quarterback.
Yeah,
so use that money for
to
him.
rebuild as you're doing, basically. So,
yeah.
But hey,
they've been rebuilding for how long?
A little while, Joe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't have a terrible team, man.
No. Mm-hmm.
I think they needed a veteran quarterback instead of JJ, but I mean, JJ to JJ is going to be fun all season.
Yeah, there you go.
So
good luck to him.
Good luck.
But yeah, JJ did get paid. He broke the bank. Let's say that. So, he's what's that, around $35 million a year that he'll be receiving. So, man, that's a lot of money.
Ooh, can brother get $100?
Yeah, a little something. So, moving on here, we got and then Chris McCaffrey. Yesterday, they said this is the second time that he has kind of reset the running back market. He's going to be He's kind of added about $8 million a year to his contract for the next 2 years.
Yep.
Because I think 2024 was like 11 million, and then the 2025 was like 12 million. So they added about $8 million. He'll be getting about 19 million over the 2 added years. It was an extension. They haven't released more in depth of the details of that, but those will be coming out. But we do know that it kind of resets the running back market, and he'll be getting a little over 19 million over the next the 2 added years. So that's Christian McCaffrey getting a little money, and which he's another guy who is well deserving of that opportunity. He's been he's been great. He's been spectacular, and we understand some of the injuries and things like that, but he's went over to 49ers and he's been able to stay healthy. It's
the first time I drafted him in fantasy football, and I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
every other year he got injured.
Yeah, and it's very disappointing. So, but yeah, another reason he resets the market is because running backs honestly aren't getting paid.
Nope.
But hey, he's trying to do something for them. We know a couple that did get paid. Josh Jacobs gets some, a little bit of change and stuff. Saquon Barkley, so hey, some things are changing there, and he got his money. So, just two big star athletes out there in the NFL world that got paid. So. That's kind of what we got as far as outside of the Chiefs talk. But we're going to get into another little conversation that's a little bit out of Chiefs talk that's kind of fun and interesting stat that we've had a little help with somebody who kind of charged us with the thought of this. But check this out. There are 5 NFL teams with wide receiver duos. And listen, this also ties back to the Chiefs and our man Brett Veach,
right,
the mastermind. But 5 NFL teams with wide receiver duos, okay? So the top two receivers on the team earning over $20 million a season. So let's get into this a little bit. For the first team up, no particular necessarily order, but Miami Dolphins. So as we just were talking about, you got Tyreek Hill at about over $30 million a year. And then you got the Waddle. You got Jalen Waddle with $28.2 million a year.
And Waddle just signed that this year.
Yeah, so a little duo there with that. And here I'm gonna speak the other ones, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got Chris Godwin with $20 million a year, and then you got Mike Evans, who got his contract this offseason, $26 million.
Would not pay that for him.
Yeah, $26 million a year. You got Philadelphia Eagles with A.J. Brown, $32 million a year. He did kind of going back to my words. Tyreek Hill was around $30 million. A.J. Brown, who kind of broke it at a point this offseason at $32 million.
Right.
But then J.J. has broke that with $35 million.
Oh,
man, the millions are rolling, right? And then Devonta Smith, $25 million a year, and both of these guys were this off season kind of getting these bigger deals. You got the Bears, DJ Moore, $20.6 million, and Keenan Allen, who they picked up, $20 million a year. And then you got the Houston Texans, who got Stephon Diggs in the offseason at $22.5 million, and then Nico Collins got his contract this year of $25 million.
It's crazy to me because I feel like nobody knew who Nico Collins was until last year,
right?
And now he's one up in Stephon Diggs. Everybody knows who Stephon Diggs is.
Yeah, which Stephon Diggs said that he is excited to be in Houston. He gave a lot of praises to Josh Allen. But he said he's excited to in Houston, which
he gave more praises to Josh Allen after he left than he did while he was in Buffalo.
That's very true. Maybe a little PR rep there. Trying to get Houston's trying to get Stephon Diggs back on track, maybe with the community. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so you got these 5 teams, right? And so I would tell you, looking at the stat, I was so surprised by two of these teams majorly. And I think it's to say Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
Now we understand Tampa Bay did make to the they make it to the postseason last year.
Beat Philly.
Yep, and Baker Mayfield came in, and which they re-signed, did his thing, and so Mike Evans said that he wanted that to be his quarterback coming to this year.
Right.
So they was able to work that out. But looking on paper, when you look at these duos, like I just was not expecting, to look at the numbers. Are like, whoa, and then you look at those numbers of even let's just say those 2 teams, and overall all these 5 teams, but those 2 teams right there, and then looking at the Chiefs running back or the wide receiver room, and the money that's going out there.
What are our top 2 receivers? It's Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
And Is it Justin Watson?
No, I think with Rasheed Rice signing bonus, I think maybe he's there, but
still,
Justin Watson may be right there. You know what I mean?
it's
Yeah, and he's our fourth string,
right.
Fourth string guy
Right.
now. So, even when you all right. So that's coming into this year. Even looking at last year, MVS was our highest paid, receiver.
Yep.
And that's what we had, at his 11 million or whatever it was. And then you come into this off season, and we're able to get Hollywood Brown, which I think he's only hitting like 8 million for the salary cap or something like that.
He's only hitting 8 million.
Around there. Rasheed Rice on his rookie contract. We're still waiting for some of the numbers on Xavier Worthy's rookie contract. We know Kadarius Toney is a couple million. Sky Moore, I think right around there. Justin Watson again, right around there.
Yep.
A lot of these and a lot of these other guys that let's see who we got here. Tony,
I forgot we got Kadarius Toney taking up 3.5.
That's right.
Yep.
When we got him, so 3.5 mil that he's taken up from the cap. And then Hollywood Brown at 7 mil. So then Rasheed Rice 1.6 and Sky Moore 1.6.
So
Justin Watson 1.7.
We're right at I think 19 million for
Right.
our total wide receiver room.
Before
which is,
Xavier Worthy, but yeah,
yeah,
it's like 19 million.
yeah,
that's
around 19 million. Basically, what Keenan Allen's getting 20, and Chris Godwin's getting 20, and that's one player on their team,
right,
and the receiving room. And so, I mean, hey, if you want to put all your money in, a couple positions, and you want to keep guys, you also got to understand that, just the overall what you're needing to build that. And I mean, hey, these teams have had the money to pay it.
Yeah.
Out of these teams, Miami was in the playoffs, Tampa Bay was in the playoffs, Philly was in the playoffs, and Houston was in the playoffs.
Right.
Even before a few of these contracts and some of the moves that were made, Chicago Bears was the only team out of there, which that's probably one, the biggest, biggest kind of question marks, wow, look at that. And so,
I mean, this offseason they did go out and try to get people for preparation of Caleb Williams.
Yep, and which they did. And I think Chicago offensively, they did make some moves that, kind of we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's just it goes to say just the mastermind with Brett Veach and what he's been able to do in the front office, and with the guys that we've had, especially in the past two runs of Super Bowl wins. Even when we had Juju, I mean, it wasn't like he was, he wasn't getting crazy money. I think he was 12, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13 million. With him and MVS, the top two paid, which they had a decent year that year.
So that year, Juju and MVS combined for more than our entire wide receiver room this year.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And so it's just mind blowing when you think about some of this money and when you think about it. I mean, Miami knocked out in the first round with Jalen Waddle had some injury issues last year.
Yep.
Tampa Bay they got the win over Philly, which was huge for them. So they put it to that. And Mike Evans got his money. Chris Godwin, he's kind of been a little proven guy with some injuries, but he's still kind of, I think, mid-20s. He's still right there, so he got a lot of life to him. Now we know with AJ Brown, we know what he used to do to us at Tennessee. So he's a great player. Devonta Smith, he got his money after he did his rookie contract and he got his big contract. DJ Moore, he was the number one in Carolina, come over in Chicago, and he was the number one there. They just had some issues going in there. We know Keenan Allen, he's been a proven guy over when he was with the Chargers.
Yep. Whenever he was healthy, he was dangerous.
Yep, very dangerous. Stephon Diggs, he's put his work in. And Nico Collins, who kind of uprising a star out of the making in Houston. So again, I think it's just one of those topics just to throw out there to get you thinking when you think about how comparison when it comes to the contracts and what the Chiefs are doing with their contracts it just kind of opens you up a little bit to be like, okay,
Makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
yeah, somebody know what they're doing in the
Right.
front office. You know what I mean?
Well, and everybody was so detrimental is not the word. What's the word I'm looking for, Josiah? They were harping on the Chiefs. Oh, the reign's over now. Tyreek Hill is gone.
Yes.
There's no way they're going to win us. We've won both Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill.
And one of the big things that a lot of spectators was talking about was, the deep ball's gone, like, for the Chiefs, like they don't have that. But that next season, I think it was midway through the season, there was a stat that I think over 20-yard catches, we had more than the previous year with Tyreek Hill. Now, we know some of those were, with Tyreek Hill, some of those, those deep passes were just boom because of how quick he is, just what he was able to do to go up and contest the ball and things of that. But that following year, I think just even over a little bit of the mid-season, the following year after Tyreek Hill, we had more 20-yard passes than we did when we had Tyreek Hill. So, again, even throws away that whole logic of, that being gone. Last year, we understand it wouldn't I guess it didn't seem like a crazy lot for the fact that we wasn't catching the ball. And this year, this is one of the things that as Mahomes and the offensive staff have just been likened to get back, which they've been working out a lot of that with getting back to the deep ball threat, which with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, the deep ball threat will be there. You know what I'm saying? And so it'll be fun also as us, as fans of the game and fans of our Chiefs, just to see us kind of getting back to some of those, big play threats and down the field and kind of see what that does. And I think that it'll open up so much more for Kelsey and Rice to work the middle of the field. So, again, it's well-rounding on a cheap budget, but it's been working. You know what I mean? It's been working. And so we'll see what happens. So, but that's that. Brevich, kudos to you.
Kudos to you.
Keep doing what you're doing. We're backing you, even if those don't like it, we're backing what you're doing and we're seeing the fruit of it. So let's get that three-peat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I kind of want to jump around. I know this is the last thing on our list, but I kind of want to talk about it next.
Let's do it.
So the whole CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yeah. What was it? What you got?
So the CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers thing. He made comments on a podcast. What was it? The $1 million worth of game podcast.
Dollars. That's dollars with a Z.
Dollaz.
Yeah, dollars.
Go check them out. I've never watched them, but they had CJ Stroud on there, so it's got to be.
Well, that episode had like 206,000 views. So yeah, go check it out.
Go check it out, sure. So you can see what we're saying. So I just caught like some glimpses of it and whatnot, and so CJ Stroud was asked to choose between Eli Manning or Aaron Rodgers' careers. He said, "You want the rings? Eli got 2."
True.
So of course,
and he beat the GOAT.
He beat both times. He beat Tom Brady against Eli Manning in the Super Bowl, 0-2.
It still just blows my mind because of
and it was last end of game. Miraculous catches that needed to be made by New York.
Off the helmet.
You got the off the helmet, and then you had the sideline one, and the next. Oh, great plays.
Yep. And that was what? And that was was the second time the only loss of New England's season.
Yeah,
it was for their 2007, right?
It was for their perfect season.
Yes,
the 2007 Patriots.
Yeah. And they took the L to eat out, man. And it's just so crazy because later on, this is a guy who got 2 Super Bowl rings, right? And he beat the GOAT for it. And later, kind of moving along in Eli's career, they're like, man, this, he's got a spot taken.
Yep.
You know what I mean? On the sideline watching, and this is your 2-time Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind, his career.
It's kind of it's hilarious. But, I would agree. CJ Stroud, you want Eli's career over Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers does have more MVPs.
Yeah, that's true.
But he said also about Rodgers as a teammate, CJ Stroud said, You know what I think it is? I've talked to Tom Brady because he's a good mentor to me. What he told me is his teammates and how he treats his teammates. And that's where I think it falls off for Rodgers. Mm-hmm. We don't know how Aaron Rodgers treats his teammates, but you can guarantee that Tom Brady treats his teammates right because how he got those rings.
And speaking of that little point right there, I mean, hey, a little bit of just, I guess, leverage to this statement. I mean, you got to think about, when the whole thing when Aaron Rodgers, kind of happened, Devontae Adams was like, bro, like you couldn't even, what's going on here? Like you can't even, talk to me, whatever. There was some breakage there, and obviously, some splitting between the two. So, and that was his number one guy. You know what I mean? So,
right.
It goes to say a little something. I mean, just think. Believe it or not, Gronk, he followed Brady.
Right.
To when he
unretired.
went to the Bucs. Right, unretired to go play. So
I think it can be skewed a little bit, right?
Sure.
Because a lot of times, Tom Brady, if you listen to any interviews about Tom Brady, he was hard on everyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was everyone was accountable in his relationship with him, and he did not mince words. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is kind of like a laid back guy most of the time.
True.
But it's almost like he flips when he needs to, and I think that confuses people.
Sure.
I think that kind of person who can be calm all the time, but like flip it when he needs to, or like flip it on somebody during the game and like yelling at people on the sideline and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't that guy outside of it, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
Brady had that more kind of confrontational presence about him,
right.
just more outwardly trying to hold people accountable in different things, whether you liked how he did it or not. He was kind of like, same with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Not that we're talking basketball here, but the same concept of him and I remember him and hearing a statement of him and Kerr got into it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But that was what he had to do for what they was accomplishing.
Right.
So
so that's the conversation with Brady. He talks to CJ Stroud, talks to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
As a mentor. But then CJ Stroud went on to say, if you give Matt Stafford a chance like Aaron Rodgers had, I guarantee you he might have had more rings.
Uh-oh.
I'd say he would have had like 3 or 4 rings.
Whoa.
So
what is that saying about Rodgers?
So let's think about this. So Matthew Stafford, for a good part of his career, had a beast of a receiver.
Yeah. Megatron. Yeah.
Right? Calvin Johnson, like that dude, had Calvin Johnson by arguably one of the best receivers in the league for that period of time.
He was a monster,
literally a monster. And I don't think you can like, that's the thing, is they both have 1 ring. So I don't think that Matthew Stafford goes into Green Bay and wins more championships than Aaron Rodgers. I don't see how that happens, because it took Matthew Stafford leaving to go to a team that had a lot of weapons to win a Super Bowl. And then the next season, that team won 4 games.
Yeah, maybe maybe there's something about I don't know. I guess I don't know. Maybe culture and leadership there. Maybe he's stating that Matthew Stafford may be playing under LaFleur, maybe a better chemistry there. And
and how many times did Rodgers have coaches roll over?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford did in Detroit as well, but at the same time, I think the fact that Matthew Stafford wasn't successful in Detroit kind of shows. Now, his yards were great; they just weren't winning games.
Yeah,
and
you saw when he goes to the Rams, and McVay, who's a great coach.
Yeah,
it turns some things around. And again, maybe it's the environment and culture. And even though maybe Green Bay had it, Aaron Rodgers just Aaron Rodgers, and maybe there was just, I don't know, maybe some issues there with, here and there. We saw, on the field and different things. So maybe a little bit into it. I will say that following season after the Rams won, they had crazy injuries, with Cup.
A lot
Stafford.
of injuries. But
there was a lot going on there. And, this year even with a little bit of injuries with Matthew Stafford, I mean, they turned their season around, go to the playoffs and, got Puka, even with doing what they did without Cup, So I don't know. That is a very interesting statement to say about Rodgers of, I don't know.
I think we need to see how Rodgers does this season with the Jets before anything like that can be said.
Yeah.
And it's all speculation, man. It's all shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or what ifs. It's not something that we're ever gonna know.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think Aaron Rodgers, even when everybody hated Aaron Rodgers, he still won MVP that season.
Yeah.
So I mean, the guy he's good. He's good at what he does. I think he has 4 MVPs total.
Could you imagine Matthew Stafford if he was still in Detroit under Dan Campbell?
Oh. I honestly think they win the NFC Championship last season with Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff.
Yeah, I think they beat the 49ers.
I do too.
I mean, again, it's the culture and what Dan Campbell brings to that locker room and what he just what the players believe in.
Right.
Like, it changes the game. And
throwing to Amon-Ra and to Sam Laporta.
Yeah, can you just imagine? I mean, the duo running back in the backfield.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
Aiden Hutchinson on the back on the defensive side. Man.
Yeah, I think Stafford definitely flourishes there. But again, like you said, coulda, shoulda, woulda, what if or whatever. But it's just interesting to think about.
Well, I remember, I could be wrong about this, but whenever Matthew Stafford left, I remember people thinking like, okay, Matthew Stafford leaves, and then they invest in the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And
true.
so there was a little
100%.
bit of, I think that was the year he left, right? Wasn't it? Where he won the Super Bowl.
Well, and then
the year he left the Lions with the Rams.
Amon-Ra came in that year, or was it the year after? They drafted him that year?
The year after.
Year after.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still like, I think it's a Dan Campbell thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it was Dan, because the first year Dan Campbell was there, they won they won, was it just over 500?
I think
they came in what 2021.
Yeah, they didn't have a great record. They still had.
I think the next year they had a worse record, and then they came back.
Yeah.
To have the season they had last season.
Yeah, because they had. I think that the first year that Goff came there, the receivers was Kenny Galladay and Jones Jr. I think those was his 2 top receivers that year that Jared, with the trade. I think those was the 2, and I think that following year, if I'm correct, is when Amon-Ra.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown came in 2022.
2021.
Or 2021. So he was there Dan Campbell's first year.
He was there Dan Campbell first year?
Yeah.
Was that the first year after?
Yeah.
That
was the year. So yeah, he got Amon-Ra that year.
That year, okay.
Yep. So, and they went 3-13-1. And then the next year,
wow, what a record!
What did they go to the 2022?
They were 9-8.
They were 9-8. Okay, so it was, I had it backwards. And then last year, they went, what was it, 12-5?
Mm-hmm.
So you see constant progression under Dan Campbell.
Yeah,
and I think that's a direct reflection of his staff and how he coaches, as opposed to maybe the quarterback situation there.
And that may be what part of what CJ Stroud's talking about, of just like maybe just the frustration of like, man, what if Matthew Stafford had stayed and they made all these moves?
Right.
And that may be where he's more coming from rather than actual comparison with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But because I remember people were frustrated about that.
Well, and CJ Stroud also said he doesn't watch Patrick Mahomes. He does every now and then, but that's because he does things you can't teach. Yeah. So he's not going to learn from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, smart.
Yeah, but he said Stafford, though, he'll beat you with the same thing every time. I'm a fan of his. Yeah. So,
I mean, how can you not be a fan of Matt Stafford, somebody who tried to stick it out in a city that absolutely loved him, a city that cheered for him when he came back in the playoffs?
Yep.
So...
And the way he watched that person fall off that stage, I mean, that was
And then at that point, it just got down to business, and they moved on.
Yep.
Thinking about it, they drafted Amon-Ra, got him in the 4th round.
Yeah.
4th round. So crazy, so good.
Anyways, all right. So let's jump to the next thing. What do you got next, man?
So that was that. Just a little interesting fact on a few outside of Chiefs talk there. But we're gonna get back into the Chiefs talk here, and let's talk about the some of the things that's just been coming out from OTAs and some interviews, like with David Tobe talked about, is the Justin Reed LRZ, the whole thing around this kickoff thing. Like, this kickoff thing is bringing an element around the league.
Just wait like 5 minutes.
Yeah, an element around the league.
Yeah,
and it's now these special team coaches getting their money worth. They're about to they're about to see with what they're trying to whip up concerning this, because in David Tobe's interviews from OTAs, he kind of talks about Harrison Butker may not be our leading kickoff kicker. He may not be the guy for kicking the ball off. Which the two names that have come up was Justin Reed and also LRZ, because what he's been used to, and just kind of and the simple fact of is not the fact that Harrison Butker can't kick the ball, because we all know the man can do that, but it's the fact of the percent of which will go up concerning kickers having to make the tackle. And, they want to preserve, obviously, from injury with Harrison Butker. So this is why the comments and bringing up the whole, it could be Justin Reed, but, LRZ make it, or, some of the nature of that, because of the fact of how that's going to work. Now, he did say, in certain scenarios, Butker could be out there for purposely touchbacks.
Right.
Because at that point of the game, they would rather them get the ball at the 30 than to, get farther up.
Right.
And to, get more yards in a crucial point of the game.
Right.
So we just need kicker to kick the ball as far as you can.
Yep.
And guaranteed a touchback.
Right.
So, there's that. Or there are moments where they said, hey, we may need a positional kick, and, we needed to get it in this specific area, and that's going to be Butker.
Right.
But the big question about this is the fact of trying to not risk injury to Harrison Butker. So again, this is bringing just a whole concept, to the league regarding how are we going to play this out, because kickers could be making a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
And who is to say that, Justin Reed, our starting safety, I mean, to be out there to, to help just protect that.
Right.
And the fact that he can't kick the ball.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, so in you got to look to, in the UFL, the injury to Donald De La Haye, also known as Destroying. He fractured his neck.
Yep, very true.
He's a kicker. He fractured his neck on a tackle for not having proper form. He's not. He'd been a kicker. He hadn't played football for a long time, anyways. But he's been kicking on YouTube forever.
Right.
But he said himself he didn't have a good form when tackling, and kickers don't necessarily. Not everybody's Pat McAfee. I almost said Patrick McAfee. That's weird. That feels weird to me. Not everybody's Pat McAfee who will lay the wood whenever he got the chance.
Right.
But so you want a guy in like Justin Reed who plays defense consistently, knowing how to tackle. REES-ZAMMIT, like the guy played rugby, where tackling without a helmet.
Yeah.
They've obviously got to know how to get their head out of the way.
Yep.
So,
which they've been giving him a lot of reps in different areas. But they kind of mentioned, he still has a little bit of long ways to go, because Pats haven't gone on, haven't been put on.
Yeah.
Which that's been a lot of just kind of question marks with some of the positions and rotations of things as it has came from OTAs, just because paths bring the different nature, and when you can hit and really see kind of how that's playing out. So but yeah, LRZ got that rugby background, and so I think when the pass come on, I don't think
I want him to succeed so bad.
I know, I do too.
And
I don't think he's gonna be scared to hit somebody. Let's just say that.
It's a big dude.
Yeah, he is.
It's a big
6'4".
Maybe he
6'3", 6'4".
Maybe he transitions from running back and goes to somewhere on deep. Like, could you imagine him as a free safety or something.
Yeah.
He's
6'3".
6'3".
All he's got to do, 6'3", around 200 pounds.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is see where the ball's going and just hammer somebody.
Yeah, come on. You can be the next who is it, Brandon Browning?
Oh, my
from the
gosh.
Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, my gosh.
Such a big safety
guy.
that laid some wood. So, but yeah, that is just the interesting part.
Yeah.
As we've just been hearing some of the conversations from OTAs, just concerning kickoffs, was bringing such a huge just part to the game.
Yep.
So with tying that to the kickoffs, there's been a submission from the Philadelphia Eagles concerning onside kicks, even as it pertains to the whole new kickoff rule discussion.
Yeah. So we did
rule.
we did discuss it last week
Yep.
for a long
A
time.
while.
did.
Now
We
let's.
did.
And there's a few other proposals as well.
Right.
Allowing teams to keep a third challenge with one successful challenge instead of two. Allowing coaches to challenge penalty calls inside 2-minute warning, and eliminate first touch spot that allows punt returners a free run after the kicking team touches the ball. But the one we're going to talk about is the most interesting one.
Yeah.
There were
so,
other ones.
Yeah. So, and this one is the one that I was like, it would make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So, with the new kickoff rule,
Mm-hmm.
the teams have the option in the fourth quarter to do a traditional onside kick. So I said it wrong when we were talking about it. I thought it was going to be the new lineup with the onside kick, and I was like, I don't even know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
But they can do two.
They can attempt two in
the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And they do have to say so ahead of time, and it would be the traditional lineup for the onside kick, which I feel like takes the onside kick fun out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It really does, because the whole thing about an onside kick is the surprise of it, right? Now, in recent years, they had it to where it would be obvious if you were kicking an onside kick.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're never going to have moments where Pat McAfee kicks an onside kick to himself, which he did twice, I believe.
Yeah.
And he had one year there were, I think, like 5 or 6 onside kicks in the season, like through halfway, and Pat McAfee had like 3 or 4 of them. So I mean, it's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
So with that said, before you jump in, my proposal, which is somebody else's proposal, which I think would be dope, is instead of the onside kick, a 4th and 20 option. So the team that just scored, whether it be a kickoff or a field goal or a touchdown, would get the 4th and 20 on, I don't know, their 20, their 25, whatever it is.
The proposal was 20-yard line.
Yeah, their own 20-yard line. They get a 4th and 20 opportunity. It would be similar to an onside kick attempt, which would actually be from, what is it, the 30, their own 30 or 35 or something like
30,
that.
35, yeah.
Yep. So it'd be similar to where if they don't get that first down, then it would be at the same spot as when the team would take over. Or, I mean, you could just flub it and the team takes over on your own 20.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward. So that was my proposal, and it would make things more interesting in my opinion. The league's going to be, I mean, they're already transitioning to be more of an offensive league anyways. They're not really supporting with rules and regulations, defenses, and how to hit. I mean, they got rid of the swivel hip drop tackle this season, which in my mind is still absolutely stupid, because any tackle you have, you cannot pull someone backwards without potentially getting that penalty called on you. Because you already can't suplex somebody, so you can't go up.
Yeah.
So the only other option was down.
Yeah.
But now, if you catch them from behind, you got to push them forward, so they get more yards. That's a whole nother thing. We're not going to. But, yeah, so I like the 4th and 20 idea. I think it would be interesting. Now, it's not my make or break.
Sure.
I just think it would make it a little bit more fun, you know?
Yeah, in which the Eagles is, that's one of the things that that they kind of propose as well. But my take on it is I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. It's just my take on it. I think this, doing this, my whole thing is, it's kind of rewarding a team at a moment of a crucial part of the game for putting it in their hands to, at that point, lose or win the game when they're already in desperate measures. Because when you're going to onside kick, it's desperate measures because of the situation of the game.
Right.
Maybe you don't have timeouts. Maybe you only have 2. You're down. You're down multiple scores. With maybe quite a bit of time left or whatever. Because when you think about it, when you're down 7 or 3 points and you got 3 timeouts, they're not onside kicking the ball.
Right.
They're going to kick it off, hopefully to pin them deep. They're looking to knowing that the team's probably going to run the ball, so we got our 3 timeouts, and then hopefully they don't get a first down, obviously, but then by the time they punt the ball, they really haven't gained much yards, and so by the time we receive it, we'll be up. So thinking of this desperate measure when you do an onside kick, knowing extremely how hard it is to get it, it takes away the possession of the part of the game that then at that point is the team who is winning, who is supposed to possess the ball. It takes it out of their hands to lose it or to win it or lose it. Just thinking about, okay, let's think about our Chiefs here. Our Chiefs here, it's it's the Super Bowl, whatever, and we're playing against the 49ers, and we're down, we're up by 3 or 7 points. Yeah. Or maybe 10, and the 49ers, we just scored. The 49ers wants to take the ball for the 4th and 20. They want to take the 4th and 20, and obviously it brings their same offense back, our same defense, and Mahomes still stands, on the sideline to see what happens at this moment, and then whatever can happen on this play, penalties, whatever the nature is, they attempt it, they get the first down, or maybe it's a penalty. Well, now the team who was supposed to rightfully possess the ball now has to stand on the sideline and still wait and see what happens to reward a team that, whatever has happened through the game has put them down at this point. So they get the first down, and then they go down and score. And now it's like a minute and a half left. They got 1 timeout left. They scored, and we want to do our second onside kick attempt. And now they get the ball again, 4th and 20.
That's a
on
good
their
point.
20.
That's a good
and
point.
now the Kansas City offense is still, and whether what team it is, I know we're saying it because that's our team, but now
we're obviously going to make the 4th and 20.
Yeah. But now the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes is yet again watching in the Super Bowl. The offense is watching, and and now the ball is put back in the hands of the team who was losing, 4th and 20. You know what? Whistle blows. There's a pass interference, automatic first down, and now they get the ball, and it's a minute and 15 seconds left and they're down by 3 to either tie it up to go to overtime or the score. And your offense, who was supposed to get the ball, is still on the sideline after what they have done rightfully in the game to keep them ahead, as now watching as we've given opportunities to a team that is already desperate measures and is going to try anything. So they have nothing to lose, even if they don't get it. I get it. It's on the 20. But you're doing an onside kick normally, or let's say if you take this new rule, you're going to take that because it's desperate measure.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose. We have to do whatever it takes.
Right.
So even if we don't get this, so what? We're in desperate measures, and there's a high chance we lose this game. So let's just go for it, because anything can happen. L'Jarius Sneed last year playing so aggressive, pass interference.
Right.
So I think that's the logic behind why I don't like it. Is it takes away, I think, from the nature of it, which, trying to put some exciting things in and different things like that, like the kickoff rule.
Right.
Change it. I get it. This one I guess, severely dislike it, but hey, I like the thought and the opportunity to think about it,
Yep. So let me give you some numbers.
All right.
So in the old kickoff alignment, there was a 13.5% recovery rate on onside kicks. 13.5. you're looking at 14% on 4th and 20 conversions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a 0.05% difference in conversion rates. Yes, it's 0.05 in favor of the 4th and 20, but you're looking at a stat that's essentially the same, right? It's essentially the same stat. And on one, the defense would be rewarded potentially more for defending a 4th and 20 than defending an onside kick.
Yeah, but why should they have to defend after whatever has happened after?
Well, they got to defend the onside kick.
Yeah, but it's a different part
Right.
of a position. You know, different. It's a special team. It's not even the defense.
So, realistically, in that situation, they're putting their hands team, which is going to be receivers and defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
So it is going to be essentially a defense that they're going to put out there. They're not going to put just their specialty guys out there. They're going to make sure that the guys that get the ball,
going to be the hands team,
right? So which are guys
receiver,
that usually
ends.
receiver, tight ends, or even defensive backs, right?
Yeah.
So you're still putting some. You're still putting first team offense or defensive players out there. So I mean, to me, it's 6 1/2 the other. One seems more exciting than the other, and that's why I'm going with that one. It just seems more exciting. If we're changing things to gear towards offense anyways, why not?
Well, because and in that nature though, you got to think at that point in the game, even and I get it, it's a 4th and 20. We're like, oh, the percent for making that, it's crazy. But at that point in the game, there's like that's why sometimes a team can score in 13 seconds.
Yeah,
because of defense tired, whatever the nature of the point of that I don't know. I guess I would love to see what is the stat on 4th and downs in that last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. I think I don't know. I guess my perception would be higher because of at a different point of the game, especially when you think about defensively where they're at mentally, physically,
right,
in that part of the game. I mean, that's why a lot of times, it's like the game could be a standstill, and all of a sudden, within the last 7 minutes of the game, there can be so much scoring from the offense because of what the defense. It's the fast pace, and just different things of that. And again, I think it just I don't know. It just takes the nature out of again. I don't, because it's putting more in that offensive hands that is losing to win or lose it.
Right.
And I don't know, it can be argued, but no, the defense just got to stop them. But, in the other sense on the onside kick, it literally does put it in the receiving team to lose it or win it, which is their rightful possession, according to the game.
Right. Well, and see, that's the thing is we're always according to the game. The rules have changed so much in the last 10 years.
Not like this.
That it's not the same game anymore. It's really not. You can't hit as hard. You can't hit realistically defense.
Protection of quarterbacks.
Defenses are penalized for things that Ray Lewis got paid for.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, so on that 4th and 20, we're getting a roughing a passer.
Yeah. So if you bring penalties, I get your side. I'm just saying it would be.
You would have to do it.
I mean, there's high stakes plays like the Super Bowl against the Eagles where they had that holding penalty.
Mm-hmm.
It's it doesn't matter at that point if it's the 4th and 20, which is even tougher for them, or if it's just the natural 4-down type of rotation that they go through. It's going to be either way. It's either they go for it on 4th down, or they attempt the onside kick at 4th and 20. And a controversial call can happen there. It can happen anywhere. I mean, at that point, I see kind of what you're saying, but with penalties, that's just kind of part of the game, I would think.
Listen, that conversion had to be NFL blitz style. As the receivers going
that's
for the
true.
ball,
Oh, when you're
take 'em
drop
out.
kicking
That's true.
people,
Yeah.
you play as Raven, you're just throwing your hat at people. Oh man,
You going for the ball and you just tackle them. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
NFL street rules, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
No. I like the thought of it, and it bring a different aspect.
no, you don't.
No, you don't. You hate it. You just said you hated it. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me.
I hate it, but I love that
it's a conversation.
What it brings up that we have not thought about, and this just gets your mind thinking okay, well then if that doesn't work, what could they do?
Right.
What could
Yeah.
they do?
And
Yep.
some of the
Yeah.
other ideas are pretty good ideas.
Yeah.
Like just to add a little bit more of some stuff to offset.
What
the
if they
onside
said,
kick.
yeah, you can do a surprise onside kick, but it has to go 20 yards, and the only person that can recover is the kicker? Like so the ball has to go 20 yards or like 25 yards because he's kicking from his own 35, right? Everybody's lined up on the opposing 35 and
with the new
40
rule?
with the new rule. So it gives the receiving team and the kicking team an equal distance, or the kicker an equal distance to the ball, which means it's almost like dodgeball at the beginning where you're both running to the ball spot.
And could you imagine around the league there would be a lot more Justin Reeds kicking the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you how to kick the ball.
Yeah.
Or you just put a player on each side. Like both teams line up on the end zone and a first team to get to the ball.
That is a different game at that
Okay,
point. That's a different game.
Yeah, that's a backyard football.
We called that smear the something back in the day, and I don't know if that's I'm able to say that on the YouTube, but yeah. Anyways,
so yeah, that's that. I hate it. Justin's intrigued by it.
but
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, let us know in the comments what
Yes.
you think, what your idea is. Yeah, and keep us in the loop. Make sure we hit 50 subscribers last week.
Woo woo.
Yeah, all right.
Yes,
Dope.
yes. Thank you guys.
We're
appreciate
excited
the
about
love.
that.
Yes.
So we'll have we have kind of like a 6-week down period right now with NFL stuff going on. I'm sure there's still going to be signings. There's going to be other things. So what we'll talk about next week is up in the air, but I'm sure there will be moves made and stuff like that. Maybe we'll have other little fun things that we could portray for the season. Maybe give our like rankings of how teams would finish in the regular season, go by division.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, keep us in the loop of your thoughts too. So make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're subscribing, just so you get notified anytime we do anything. And you got anything else, Deontay?
Nah, that is it.
Anything,
That is it.
Josiah?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I guess until next time, guys. Thy kingdom come.